All right, Ryan. Today's topic on November the 5th, actually tomorrow, just right around the corner. Before we get into today's topic very quickly, in Hartford, Connecticut, they hit the floor at the XL Center. It's a Coots Town that's in town. Get it? Coots Town in town. On Sunday, you told me November the 6th. This is the only time that I told you that we will not do a last check-in video tonight or tomorrow morning, only because you told me, Phil, this game does not count.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Well, I think that'll be pretty exciting to do a last check-in before all the regular season games. And then, of course, we'll have all the regular season games covered on the channel, all the recaps and all the highlights from every game. But yeah, tomorrow it's going to be exciting. A lot of questions that are going to get answered tomorrow that we've been asking the whole off season. So it should be really fun to watch them in action tomorrow, even though it is a preseason exhibition game.
All right, today's topic very quickly on this Saturday, Ryan. Swin Cash gets her number retired, and I believe it is only the third or the fourth time that the UConn Huskies in the history of their program has retired a number, the third or fourth time. And I know we had to cover this. The news came out yesterday, and I wanted to cover her because, hey, a legend, obviously in UConn, with her number getting retired, that speaks for itself. But not only that, when we congratulated Sue Bird on her retirement, we left out Swin Cash. And I know we got some heat for that on this pod. So I wanted to take the time today to sit down and talk about Swin Cash and her number retired.
Yeah, and that last video that we did about the most feared players or the best of all time, I didn't have her on my list, but we definitely could have both had her on our list.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely one of the legendary players here to ever play at UConn. Came in at the '98 season and finished her season out all 4 years in that 2002 season. All American, named the most outstanding player of the Final Four. And they finished national champs, a part of a 39-0 season. So pretty special player Swin Cash was for the UConn Huskies. Of course, like you mentioned, very legendary player, and her number 32 will be retired at the rafters of the Gamble Pavilion. So it's definitely something special. Glad we were able to cover it. I'm kind of a little bit disappointed we didn't cover the initial news, I believe, which was her being retired into the UConn Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, I believe. But she's in the Basketball Hall of Fame there at UConn and gets her number retired. So two very special things for a very special player.
Yeah, that's right. And how about this very well joined company? Cash's 32 will join Rebecca Lobo's 50 and Ray Allen's 34. Okay, so it was only three of them then, as the only retired numbers in UConn basketball history. Number retirement at UConn is reserved only for basketball alumni who are inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. So, hey, I mean, it's not a lot of players when you think about it, as far as numbers being retired. I can tell you right now, I look at my wall here and I want the number 5 retired. How about you?
I think, well, I think it's definitely a possibility that Paige Bueckers, but
Uh-huh.
I think we got a little bit of ways to go before that. I think she definitely has to win a national championship here, and hopefully we all hope and pray that she can come back healthy, of course, because we really haven't seen her fully healthy in 2 years. But that's a story of the past. We're ready to move on to the regular season and for tomorrow for the first exhibition game. But yeah, Swin Cash, unbelievable, for her number to be retired next to Lobo and Allen's very special company. So like you mentioned, not a lot of players even get into the Naismith Hall of Fame, and for her number to be retired, that's pretty special.
Yeah, again, joins Rebecca Lobo and Ray Allen. So that speaks for itself. Again, not a lot of players with their number retired in UConn history, but I still think, how about you, Ron? I still think it speaks volumes. I mean, all too well, Rebecca Lobo, and although it's way before your time, hopefully she's not watching this because no, don't take offense to that. We're not calling her old, right? But and then hey, Ray Allen, you're very well into the NBA. So I mean, hey, I mean, two big names, and now Swin Cash sits next to them too.
Yeah, and Swin Cash drafted number 2 to Detroit in the WNBA and had a pretty good career, if I recall. But yeah, Rebecca Lobo, amazing WNBA career as well. And of course, she does announcing and broadcasting for ESPN. I love when they have her on there, and I get to listen to her announce a couple of those games. And of course, Ray Allen, such a legendary player for the
Ray
Heat, I
Allen.
believe. And on that legendary LeBron James team, of course, I think a
Yeah.
lot of us out there remember that one. But yeah, pretty elite company.
Again, congratulations. Forever 32. Forever 32. It came out yesterday. Forever 32. Congratulations to Swin Cash. Again, to have her number retired. No more Huskies in the number 32, Ryan. How about a little bit of comments before we slide out of here on this Saturday? We will go over how about Jason D'Amico, and this is from the last video, UConn Huskies most feared players of all time. Again, we hope everyone had a great and happy Halloween. I have only recently begun to pay attention to Huskies basketball during the Paige Beckers era. Okay, sounds like us. I only know of legacy players from the tidbits I get from media sources. That said, from the small knowledge base that I have, I believe that Stewie would be the most feared. Her all-around game is almost unstoppable when she is beast mode. Her skills creates havoc with opponents' game plans. To Phil and Rye, Paige is the Lawrence Taylor of women's hoops and therefore definitely in the running. The only reason she is not my winner is because of her health issues. My opinion could change once she has a successful return. Great show again, fellas. Peace.
Yeah, and I do believe as well that Sue Bird also got injured. So I know we've kind of compared Sue Bird's career and Paige Becker's career in terms of the injuries, and hopefully Paige Becker is able to bounce back like Sue Bird did. But Breanna Stewart, such a legendary player, amazing career, and then to watch her blossom with the Seattle Storm and play alongside Sue Bird has been so much fun over the years, and for her to win two WNBA championships, I believe, as well. But yeah, Paige Becker is definitely deserves to be on that list. And like I mentioned before, hopefully she can return healthy for next season and be a part of the UConn Huskies team on the floor.
Ivo goes, most feared players, I would say Stewie, Tuck, and Jefferson in their 4 straight championship, but especially in their last 2 championships. Also Bird, DT, Swin, Cash, Jones, and Williams in their championship run. That team was loaded. We can talk about who is playing, who is not, and why. But Gino said you practice well, you will get the chance. This team went through a lot last year, so I think this year mentally they are ready for every curveball. That, I didn't think about that before you evaluate on that a little bit. It's interesting because to think, what if you have all these players going down once you already start the playbook and once you already start your game plan? I know you game plan differently for every team, but to me, again, we don't want to see any injuries, but I'm just trying to take the best out of this the way that I can and tell you, Ryan, what is it? Is it actually a good thing? Because now with these injuries that these girls are out for the season, is this actually a good thing rather than losing them in the middle of the season or late in the season? Because now you get to game plan them. You get to game plan without them on the roster, if you feel what I mean.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying, and I would agree with that. That if if you're gonna have injuries during the season, I think you would much rather prefer them be before the season starts. And unfortunately for UConn, we've already had 2 of those
Yeah.
players that are out for the season, had season-ending injuries. Of
Mhm.
course, before the season starts. So yeah, I mean, I've been watching a couple episodes of the Standard. I know a couple of you guys have mentioned that in the comments. We just haven't had the opportunity to recap one of those episodes yet. But
Yeah.
yeah, Gino's talked about, Coach P, Paige Becker's on the sidelines, going to be helping all the players alongside Gino as well. But I'd like what Gino said in one of those episodes. Sometimes in a couple of seasons, we already knew we were going to win if the bus arrived on time even if we arrived at halftime, sometimes we knew we were going to win. And Gino said with this season and last season as well, we're going to have to grind for everything. And we, meaning the team and all the coaches. So it's definitely a very unique scenario. And I said this before, we thought last season was a challenge unlike any other. And this season brings a whole nother unique obstacle and challenge.
Yeah, you're right. And how about Gene Morris goes, actually 2 small comments. You missed the Fab Four, which had 2 undefeated seasons. And then he goes, how about Swin Cash? Well,
Yeah,
here's your, here's your episode.
Here we are talking about her today.
Here we are.
So, yeah, I mean, she definitely deserved to be on that list, but there's so many players that you can put. And like they mentioned, with 2 undefeated seasons and 11 national championship teams, there's so many different combinations of players you can put on the list. And I know we left so many out, but we even put so many on, but there's
that's
so many
actually,
more.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Players that you hardly even hear about that didn't make it in the WNBA, maybe they still had an impact at UConn.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. That just goes to show again, Ryan, how strong the program is. If you have to sit down and really take the time to think, and again, it takes time for you to dig through the book and to find these players' names. Like, well, who's this? I think that's a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, I think you'd rather have to search through the history of the program rather than having just a 5 lined up. So that just goes to show the history of this UConn Huskies program and how deep the history does run.
Hey, congratulations again to Swin Cash, Ryan. I will let you go. Listen up with Phil and Rye, and we can't wait. We will try our best, Ryan, to get on here late tomorrow evening to recap that Kutztown matchup that UConn has. And the countdown is on, Ryan. I'm looking at it now, 22 hours, 33 minutes, and 21 seconds. I can't believe it. It doesn't count, but Ryan, the UConn Huskies are less than a day away from hitting the floor. It's Phil and Rye on Listen Up.